Where the fuck is McClay?
Action.
Awesome. This is the Bogcast. We are brought to you by Bang Salon. Come get all your hair needs, including cuts, natural colors, vivid colors, extensions, shampoo and styling, all under one roof at Bang Salon. Find and message Bang Salon on Instagram at Bang Salon, at BANGDSALON. Use promo code
Bogcast
for 20% off your first visit. So come on down and get banged by Jordan. But
Okay.
really try to bang her? Fucking kill you. Go. Want to hit this, McClay?
Yeah. So check out all the Google Play, all the iTunes, all that Spotify stuff. I'm waiting for Bryan to crack.
That was so cool. That was so cool. That was so cool. If only I'd been able to go. McClay would go, "Hey Bryan, you wanna?" And then I'd been like, "Oh," and then like snag.
Pass
that would have been
McClay.
that would have been
McClay,
too much
pass it.
planning. Right. But I don't have a J right now. It'd be ridiculous. Look at that. Look at you guys. Awesome.
We've been
God.
practicing.
You guys are pros, man. I'm super jelly.
Yeah.
Super jelly.
What's going on, man?
Well, we had some we had some issues earlier, but we're back and better. I think, it's funny. I have this like crazy theory that the internet, and I don't think it's too crazy, but the internet always works better at night because it's cooler. Like I don't know if that maybe because there's less rays and interference from the sun. Maybe it just because sometimes I feel like my phone charges faster at night, like than it does during the day. Is that just me? Do I smoke too much?
Yeah,
You smoke too much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay.
We feel you.
No, but to let the audience know, this is take 2. I should have said that when I slated, but we did attempt this earlier. We had some technical difficulties.
We did.
Maybe in the edit I can pull some stuff from it. I'll see what I can do, but we're giving it another go. So we are joined by our very good friend Bryan Tassara all the way from Los Angeles.
It's
If
true.
you haven't seen him, he's been on the podcast before. He has a podcast out there called This, That, and the Other.
I do.
Tammy. And we just I'm excited to catch up with you, man. And
Oh, you son of a
don't
bitch.
throw
You
it.
guys are like,
Jesus.
you guys, you know what? If the podcast game doesn't work out, you guys are gonna make a wonderful clown duo. You guys are gonna make a wonderful. When I was younger, I saw, and I don't know if they're still around anymore, but their name was the Umbilical Brothers, and they were this Australian like mime duo. They were two brothers.
Connected.
And they traveled all over the place on stage, and they would do these like little like 200 300 auditorium rooms, and they would use a mic, and it was clowning, it was goofing, it was miming around. And I remember that was like one of the first times that I was like, yo, these dudes are making money like goofing, like being like goofballs. They used to do a trick with the mic where they would take the mic, it would be a handheld, and they would be like, one guy would put it on his head, and he would be like, and he would make the noise of a little man inside of his brother's head, and he would be like, well, excuse me while I go downstairs to the lungs, and he would go. It was the Umbilical Brothers. It was wonderful. I remember seeing. Yep, there they are. Look at them. Whoa, this is such a cool setup, McClay. You said it was like $250 a year or a month.
I think it's if you get so you can. This is a shout out to StreamYard, everybody. The StreamYard is the app we're using to do this. Killer app. I'm glad you brought it up because we should talk about it. It's
the first time we use this for the podcast. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's 2 young college kids that decided just to make a cool streaming app, and they're really freaking cool. I didn't mean to do that. Hold on here. Let me do.
Well, it's wonderful. Yeah, no, I mean, this is especially with the current climate of what's going on, this is more than ideal to video conference people and jack off.
You guys still doing your podcast with the virus going on?
And right here.
Yeah.
For us on our side?
Hey, Bryan.
Yeah.
No, Bryan, when I call you, I'll call you McClay.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
we can
I
hear.
forgot. We're
The
two
audience knows I'm
Bryans.
dealing with two Bryans with Y's right now, so I'll call the guest
He'll
Bryan
be
and I'll call you McClay.
he'll be handsome Bryan and I'll be tall Bryan. For those of you guys who've never seen me, I'm very short. But what was your question again? Sorry.
Are you guys still doing the podcast with the virus going on there?
Yeah, we did our first over the phone podcast. I mean, we did an Instagram live where Sam and I spoke to each other streaming wise, and we recorded ourselves on each end. And I just wanted to do that more as to see kind of what we could get with our audience and if we even had any type of attention. It was more from like a number standpoint, but it worked out okay. There was some delays. Instagram generally has like delays because of the comments and people butting in and doing all this stuff. That's why I'm so impressed with this setup, because you guys are coming in so very clear, and everything. I mean, this is top tier stuff. So, but the thing is our and just to do a quick plug, our network, Binge on This, our cornerstone, so to speak, our flagship is This, That, and the Other, which is just me and Sam. And we don't really interview. That's something that I really like about your guys' show. Over 70 episodes, you guys have managed to interview, new guests consistently. And that's really impressive for a podcast that just started out. What Sam and I do, though, is more a little, it's not slapstick. It's more like the Diary of a Madman, and like you're just kind of watching it all go down. Like when we first started, we were trying to do maybe like a variety show, and we were trying to make like things interesting and like that. But like as it slowly started to roll, it was just me, just kind of just being me, and it became more about like posterity state. I wanted to make sure that we recorded. Like me personally, I want to make sure that I had enough on video and enough tape so that if I died randomly, that my mom could see stuff, or like my sister could see stuff, or my kids could see stuff. It was more of a legacy thing for me, as silly as it sounded. And that's kind of what it is. But the other shows we do, they kind of have a point, they have a goal. Perry Kurtz, Happy News with Perry Kurtz. He interviews people that are close to him, people from the comedy scene. For those of you guys who don't know about Perry's been, in the LA comedy scene since the 70s. He's rubbed elbows with Robin Williams, and there's us right there, and that's
yeah. I think there's a little bit of that.
And anything increase the child killing.
yeah. See, like, how do you market that?
Yeah, that's what I would say. Like, let's Schindler List this thing. Like,
Tie a couple bombs, put a couple kids, have some real dramatic shit on top of them.
yeah, where there's like,
Better yet, kid, one of the SWAT members, the kid's there.
Oh man.
Chose the wrong day.
See, like you can't, and I feel bad for Sam, because sometimes people ask Sam, like, what are you doing, like with the podcast? Like, what is the podcast about? And Sam goes, what? And he doesn't really have a thing. It's just
but you guys are having fun, right?
well, that's again, the show This, That, and the Other really is just
And there he
for to have a lot of fun, and
And the world is ending.
and a lot of our content's on it.
Mm-hmm. We tried.
We did. Motherfucker.
Guys hear me?
Yeah, it froze, brother.
You guys there?
Yeah, it froze. Son of a bitch.
My bad, dog.
You're good. Don't worry
It's-
about it.
It's
dog.
not
It's all
your
good.
fault,
Don't
brother.
even trip.
It's not your fault, bro. All right.
But anyways, really what I like is What's Hood, which is my flagship as far as an educational point of view, actually having some type of worth. And that's really a Latinx Hispanic kind of overview of, the Mesoamerican culture, both in the past and in the present. And it just, I have a lot of pride with that one. I'm really proud of that because it's as close as I can ever get to my roots. and contributing to the culture, so to speak, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, let me play a clip real quick.
You feel me? A lot of motherfuckers are here today and gone tomorrow. And what I like to take in stride in times like these is the idea or the ideology that in death there is power. You feel me? Like whatever words you reverb out in the world or whatever, they're gonna take hold. Take a look at MC Hustle with the marathon continues. You continue to hustle and motivate. You feel me? Now you giving some people the ideology of the Mamba mentality. You
I like about it is that he's fucking intelligent as a motherfucker.
Yeah, and it's raw. It's
it
very
comes off,
raw.
It comes off real too.
Good, and that's really what we shoot for, because and that one, for example, was when but to Kobe's passing, he was talking in that sort of mannerism, but he's very
crazy out there being in LA when that whole thing went down. That had to be
yeah. I mean that just from like the city alone, you could feel that, it was almost the predecessor to coronavirus, really, because that took the air out of everybody, everybody's sails out of their lungs. It just really kind of froze the world there for a moment. And like I said, even if you didn't like Kobe, even if you never watched sports a day in your life, that just who he was as a person and his journey overall, you can you can still appreciate that for what it was,
Oh, for sure.
It
I
was
don't
a
give
sad
two shits
story.
about basketball or anything like that, but I appreciate that he was definitely a special human being on another level.
Yeah, exactly.
The way he was in tune with, just his mental toughness and, and also the heart that he had and his dedication just to be the best at his craft. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you can diss that, man.
Yeah, it's something that you see very rarely. It's
what a
not
tough year
something
for LA, man.
Yeah.
that happens, regularly. It's just something that just kind of you see it every now and then, and it's truly a bummer when that goes out. But and again, it happens. It's unfortunate that it goes down that way, but better a helicopter crash than Corona, right?
Yeah, I got a question with the lockdown and everything. What's the weed situation or the cannabis situation like?
It's essential, baby. We need it. It needs to keep coming through. There's they went through everything. They went through this whole legal process to make sure that it's medicinal, it's regulated, to be like, if they stop making drugs for AIDS people or HIV people all of a sudden just because of this, like, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's liquor stores are still open. Most everything. It's funny. Most everything is maintaining some type of open status for the most part, because of DoorDash and like Postmates and things like that. So most restaurants are open for takeout or delivery. They have different hours, and they're certainly cut down staff wise, but they're all here, and they're like, we're open for takeout, we're open for DoorDash and Postmates and any delivery service. You just can't stay inside of the building, and nobody can be inside more than groups of like 5 or 6, or I mean, or no groups of 10 or less or whatever. It's just essentially
10 or more.
Yeah. So
Do you
even
still go about your business like normal, or are you staying like quarantined?
Well, because I don't have work right now. Pretty much my life revolves around working on scripts and editing our podcasts, and trying to maintain some type of recording schedule with Sam and with Perry, and with FC, and just kind of keeping that going, because at this point there's again, I'm thankfully I have this Friday, I have my first day at the new job, so we're going to see how that goes. And, it'll be cash coming in, which is important. But these past 3 weeks have been very, very interesting, especially from someone. And again, you cut me off if I'm rambling, but,
well, I do have another question.
Yeah. Hit me with it.
I know this affects, obviously the film industry really hard, and I know you're really involved with that. And I know obviously it's tough being an actor, but I'm more concerned about the film crews out there. I mean, do you know anybody, any film crew or members or actors or anything that are affected by this? And like, what are they doing? Are they just going back to where they came from? Like, are they just trying to find other jobs? I mean, it seems like a huge butt fuck right now, man.
Oh,
and
it is.
I'm just really concerned because, dude, this was my year to come back to LA and start getting back into shit. And literally, like, this is like, fuck, put a, you know, a dent in everything. So,
it's really crazy because a lot of these guys, I know a couple of people, you know, that I've worked with on set that are essentially freelance. You know, that's how they run it.
yeah, you go job to job. It's not like you have
job
a
to job,
consistent
baby.
job. That's how the film. That's how an actor's life is, and that's how a crew member's life is. Is once that gig's up, whether it's a day, 3 days, 3 months, could be you know 6 months, but then you're jobless.
Yep.
And the fact that you know you guys are on lockdown, like fuck, man. And like we were talking about on the previous take, LA's full of people with hopes and dreams from different cities from all over the country that did there because they're ambitious to try to, you know, do something in that industry. That industry is shut the fuck down right now, dude.
Yeah.
What's that like?
It is it sucks for everyone, really. It doesn't really matter who you are right now, you know. Like I said, and again, you know, beforehand we talked about it. It's a very rare moment of meditation for the whole world because it doesn't matter, you know, if you're in the film industry and you're a grip or if you're a producer or if you're whatever. It doesn't matter if you're a crew or if you're hair and makeup. Everybody is feeling this. Everybody is feeling that oh shit moment. And like you said, a lot of people are doing this check to check. You know, a lot of people sacrificed a lot to be out there and do what they love. You know, but that's the industry, my guy. It's part of it, man. You know, I say it a lot when it comes to fighters when they get beat up.
I don't think the entertainment industry has been shut down like this before. I can't think of another moment like this.
The only thing that anybody remembers about it like this, the way that this is like, was during the writer's strike.
I was going to say that. The writer's strike is the only thing, yeah.
The writer's strike, and then maybe like for comedians, you know, they say back in like the 70s when Mitzi, there was a walkout at the Comedy Store. And they weren't making enough money at the Comedy Store at the time. Apparently, they were saying that Mitzi was walking away every night with like 15 or 20 grand, and the comics were making like maybe $100 or $200 if that a night. And so they staged a walkout. You know, and some comics crossed the picket line, and some of them didn't, and it was a whole thing.
I watched a little YouTube. I think there's a YouTube story about that. That's interesting that came up.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's the Comedy Store in itself has a very illustrious history. I'm sorry?
Are they doing shows? Or they're not?
Nobody, big guy. Look, let me. And again, I don't want to make it all about me, but you know, so this is how it went down. Like, I had essentially, what is it? We're 2 weeks in this bitch. I'm losing track of time. It's bananas, bro. Like, 2 weeks ago, I started filming my first lead part.
Congratulations on that, by the way.
Oh, well, shucks. Yes, but thank you, because we know what it takes to do that.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk about that.
So I was really lucky for the first part of this the insanity to be working on a paid set. It was for chump change for what it was, but it was still a paid set and it was still my lead stuff. And so I was kind of out of the storm during all of this. So when I finally got off set and came into this isolation, I was like, I'm prepared, you know, because I used to live in the woods. You know, I spent the whole time there alone. You know, I physically and mentally have become a different person over the past, you know, year. I thought I was ready. And then like a week and a half in, like 2 weeks, I was like, this isn't cool, because there's something about having your free will taken out of it. I mean, we could obviously get out and we could walk around if we wanted to, and we can, you know, we can go to the store and we can do what we need to. But just the idea that a government official or the government itself was like, you guys can't go out. Like, you're not allowed to go out. Like, that's so close to one step of being like, you're not allowed to go out until we tell you to go out.
Like martial law, kind of?
Yeah, that it kind of
Well-
like it kind of makes me uncomfortable, and so like
Just
it
to
was
bring a
it,
point up that you said earlier, you will get fined if you go out, right?
if you're straight up disrespectful, here's a perfect example. There was a surfer in Manhattan Beach like a few days ago who went out surfing, and the lifeguard came and said, you can't be here right now, we're quarantined and the beach is closed, so you need to go home. And the surfer said, fuck you, you're a lifeguard, and he continued surfing. And then the cop showed up and was like, fuck you, here's $1,000 ticket.
Oh shit, yeah.
So like if in
Yeah,
those
if you're a dick.
examples, yeah, if you're a dick, but nobody's and the other example I use is India. India,
Oh,
you
that
know,
was crazy.
God bless India. They make shit in the street like fucking horses, but when they say they need shit done, they get shit done, no pun intended.
They'll
Because
cane your ass.
they're caning the shit out of the people who are hanging out outside, and they
Wow.
are like, get the fuck inside because we're not playing around, And so there's different methods to this madness, but we live in the land of the free and the home of the brave. So, if we want to be crazy about it, we can. We're just thankfully at this point, we're not. There's no point. But yeah, so it's hitting everybody, man. It sucks. A lot of people lost a lot of work for March Madness, a lot of camera ops, a lot of people that I know that, are DPs and people that, make a huge chunk of their life off these huge, sporting events are just, kind of screwed, and it's unfortunate. Like I said, it's unfortunate, but you just got to grin it and keep pushing through, man. Cause
I heard, I was listening to Burt Kreischer's podcast with Dr. Drew. And one of the things that was interesting when they were talking is
McClay, can you pull that closer again?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Is Dr. Drew was talking about how it reminds him of like the war and shit and that type of stuff. And that's why I wore a black t-shirt. So I didn't have to deal with that. Yeah.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah. So anyways, he was saying how it was like a war and watching like how people are just reacting to it in America reminds him of like seeing videos of how people during the war were kind of still acting like, what are we supposed to do? We do what we do. We're going to continue doing it. And that's all we can do. We're just going to try our best and continue doing the norm, because if we think about it and we worry about it, then we're going to screw ourselves anymore. So it's just kind of like, like it's kind of like being dead. And when you look at somebody, they're kind of dead eye, but you're just kind of like, I got to do what I still got to do. There's nothing I can do. I can't worry about it.
Yeah.
I think there's a difference between worrying and like I said earlier on the previous take of just being safe than sorry,
Yeah.
It's one of those things you just have to commit to.
Well, that's
going
how I
forward,
That's how I am. I am following the rules. I'm basically self-quarantined for the most part before this shit happened. That's just how
how I live my life. Yeah,
that's how I live my life. I'm not the type of person to go hang out with a bunch of people at the bar anymore.
Yeah. Your hoes come to you, your
I'm
weed
just
to you.
I'm just chilling, dude. You know what I mean? And
now you want to go out though, huh?
I black out my windows for a fucking reason because I'm afraid of the sun. So it's not that bad. I'm kind of used to it. But the other part of it is, you're right. I'm not going to be an asshole, and I'm not going to go out there and just party and go do spring break and shit, because you're just being an asshole at that point. Yeah. But I'm also not going to freak out about it. Like my brother, I feel bad for him because he
walked by.
Yeah, he's so worried about all this shit. That's all you see. Like I can tell when my brother's around because I can hear his fucking phone. I'm fucking worried.
I know, buddy. I know. Look at that handsome devil, bro. He looks like a baby now that he's all shaved up in the face. I need to shave. I'm working on my quarantine beard.
So he's so fucking worried about it, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna let it do that. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. I'm gonna do my best not to be a douchebag, about it, and continue on.
Oh, you're already dead. You went to 3 Walmarts. One Walmart's gonna kill you, dude. You're done.
3 Walmarts and 2 Targets, bro.
You're done.
And on the last recording, I said the same thing, or at least and we're all getting different information at this point, but the information that makes me not the happiest, but the most comfortable with the situation is the idea is that that virus has been here possibly since August, or November. It's possible that a lot of us have already run through this virus and we've thought it's a cold or a flu.
Well, it's interesting you say that. I've read both sides of that, but I also know people who had like the death flu for like 3 weeks in November and December. So I don't know what to, like you, McClay, my dad, a couple other acquaintances I know. So so there is some truth to that.
I think so. And someone mentioned beforehand that it's a matter of just quelling it before the mutation gets really out of control, because again, that is a possibility. We've seen that happen before, and I'm not a doctor, so I don't know jack titty shit about nothing, but I do know that when it comes to periods of panic and unrest, stupid decisions can be made, and that generally happens more at the public level than it does at the people, like at the bill level, because of that panic, and so like McClay's saying, it's a matter of maintaining that balance between not being worried but being aware of yourself, of your surroundings,
I like that,
of maintaining a go bag, making sure you understand, how to just take care of yourself in the event of true mayhem, true internet being cut out, true power being cut out, true knocking. I gotta be honest. Doors,
when that happens, I'm fucking fucked, because when it gets to that point, like I'm so far behind the ball. You know what I mean? Like I'm one of those people that told those people that hunkering down and becoming a prepper, and I said that's fucking retarded.
What? I think that's genius, dude.
Well, hold on.
In your backyard right now.
So I feel shitty right now because I agree with you, Keith. Right now, they're fucking like loving life. Like my buddy that I used to work with, that dude was buying 4 firearms a month out here, man. It was like the Wild West. That dude probably amassed 300-400 firearms in like a 3-month period. You know what I mean?
You know what, dude? We're gonna find out how loyal our Mormon friends are, dude, with that 1 year of stash of food they got, bro. They better bust out, dude. That's why I've been friends with them the whole time, dude. Because
well, I always say that said that if this shit goes down, I do have a plan in place. I have a mini plan.
What's your plan? Hit me with your plan.
I want to know this mini plan.
Hit the
hold on, wait a minute. You guys are best friends and you're not included in the mini plan, Keith?
Keith knows it. He's heard it. My mini plan is first
you gonna do a bunch of heroin?
Hit the pharmacies, man. Grab all the pain medication, all the fucking benzos, all the fucking Viagra, all the fucking opiates, all the penicillin.
OD with a huge boner?
All the Viagra pills.
I'm gonna have all that shit. That shit's gonna be
all
currency.
The birth control.
Like that shit's gonna be currency. What would you rather have? Fucking pain medication? I'll trade you 5 fucking buttons for a weapon. You know what I mean?
You wanted to OD with a huge boner.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking do that too. Like if shit gets really bad, then you know me. Like I'm fucking going out with a needle in my arm, man. So you know what I mean? Like that's the thing. Like I want to be ready. Yeah. I want to be ready if that shit goes down. I want to fucking have. I don't want to be in a situation where I don't have that. I can be cool if I don't have the other shit, because you know what I mean. But if I don't have that, that's my plan.
Where would you go with all that though? Would you stay at home or?
I don't know. I'd play it by ear after that.
Floating the whole time, dude.
I'd probably
be going everywhere.
I'd probably be dead. Like
here's what you do, right? Here's what you do. You break into all the pharmacies. You grab all of your pills, right? Your pills, and then you head to the reservation. You make a deal with the chief of the reservation, and then you guys start raising horses together. 10 years into the apocalypse, you grow weed, you have horses. The tribes have come back together to reclaim the breadbasket. You have married the chief's daughter and hooked her on your fucking benzos, and you bang the shit out of her because you're the only dude with Viagra. And then you just fucking, for the next 10, 20 years, you guys raise horses who eat weed, and then you guys use weed as currency. You eat the horse meat, you take back the breadbasket, and then you take the Alamo back. And then you die, and they build a statue for you on the Alamo.
You just made me realize I am a fucking genius. Thank you, Bryan. I appreciate it.
You're the smartest man alive, and I know where to find you at the Alamo.
When you get
when this
two
all
Bryans
goes
with Y
down.
together.
Yeah, 2 Bryans. We're good, and I'll be. Yeah, you'll be. They'll call you the White Buffalo, and I'll be the Caramel Monkey. Who'll be like, White Buffalo. When I first found you, you knew nothing of our culture.
Cannabis cough.
Yeah, it'll be great.
But real quick, hold on, real quick. I want to give a shout out to something that I'm trying to put together. For those of you guys out there that might want to check it out, I got a Discord server group that I'm starting called Kutch Collectibles Discord group. It's got all your comic, trading card, toys, sneakers, buy, sell, trade, giveaways, group breaks, razzes, raffles. That shit up. Just hit me up on Instagram at Bryan McClay if you want to join. Peace out.
Clay, you do that in the shout off. What are you doing in the middle of the show now?
Like that shit?
Oh, cool.
Like that shit?
That is so
shit
cool. You guys are so cool, dude. That is
I
so
know,
fun.
it's fucking dope.
Well, here's something if you guys don't mind me kind of bringing up on my end.
Let's hear it.
Why do you guys when you guys do the solo episodes, do you guys like doing those? Do you guys not prefer doing that, or is your guys' show really more about interviews?
We love it, but we figure that people would rather hear the interviews. At least that's my thought.
Actually, you know what? We never told you this, Bryan, but or maybe I have, but we actually got 30 episodes picked up for distribution. So they're gonna put them on fucking Amazon and shit. They're gonna try to get it on Hulu and Netflix and all that. But
are they really?
Yeah, but they told us it was because they like when the solo episodes and shit. Although they did take a lot of them with the guests and stuff. So, but to be completely honest, man, these first 100 episodes are just practice, and we're still trying to figure out the format and everything. But as soon as 101 happens, man, I plan on having guests, but the episodes run longer, probably hopefully hour and a half, 2 hours. We're having some technical difficulties right now to where it's limiting our editing and our run times. But then I would like to have almost every other episode be just me and Bryan. That's what I would like to gear to eventually. So
when did you guys hear about you getting picked up?
What's that?
When did you guys hear about getting picked up?
So it was probably about 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago.
YouTube hit you guys up?
What's that?
No,
a distribution company, Overnight Pictures Distribution.
Yeah, so they took episodes 31 through 61, and they're going to turn it into 3 seasons. So episodes 31 through 40 will be, season 1, and then etc. And it's guaranteed on Amazon, but they're going to try to get it on all these, even the foreign markets and stuff like that. But they have absolutely no control over the YouTube or the future episodes. So,
so it's just for those episodes that you guys
so it's we have nothing to lose, and like I said, these first 100 episodes are practice. So even if nothing happens and they never no one ever watches them, it's like we have nothing to lose on this, But they also said if you don't make X amount of money, in this amount of time, then you could fire us. So they have, they look like they're going to be making some money off of it.
Hey man, anything's good, bro. If they can do what they say they're gonna do, that's the most important part. If they just
we're really excited, man.
Get it up on where they say it needs to get up, then they've done what they said they're gonna do. This town is filled with people who'll say they're gonna do something and they don't do it, and so it's very tough to hear. People talk all the time and be like, oh, hey, this. And, I tell Sam all the time until that check cashes in the bank, until their name is signed on the dotted line, until everything is 100%, you can't celebrate anything, bro. You can't celebrate anything. But when that does happen, when you do get that sign, when you do get that check, when you do see your face on Amazon, that's when you played your cards right. You did the right things, and considering it's for something so small as like a podcast that, everybody's doing. So, I mean, that in itself is an accomplishment.
This feels funny because it feels a lot like Wayne's World, where they're taking our show and then putting it on these more. So it's on these markets, it's going to be more of a show than a podcast, if that makes sense. But this podcast still will always exist on YouTube. So it does kind of have a funny feeling to it. It would be kind of funny if we had to go to a set of the Bogcast room. How funny would that be?
Yeah, that'd be crazy, man. That'd be
No,
wild.
it's not gonna ever happen, but that would be so
Well,
funny.
you can always dream. Like I said, I'll tell you, like I
wouldn't
said, man,
want that. I would never want
it's a
that.
matter of just Hollywood is such a monster, man. It's one of those things that you hear a lot of podcasts from a lot of writers, specifically writers who say, I've written 100 spec scripts and I've sold, X amount of these, and out of those, I've only seen one of them made it all the way through, and I had a couple of buddies of mine, there's a guy, shout out to Verb, the homie. He's this guy that I follow that is a huge inspiration. He runs the after hours, one of the after hours out here in Los Angeles, one of the party zones, from 2 to 6 in the morning. And he's a rapper and he's phenomenal. He's this wonderful, creative guy. And he got some money from one of those, back in like 2012 to 2016, when everybody was trying to make a quick form app where you could like record stuff on it. It was like the Wave app. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. But the Wave app gave my boy a whole bunch of money. Gave him a whole bunch of money to do a show and everything. And I think he shot maybe like 1 or 2 episodes or something from it. It was wonderful. It was great to see. And that was one of those rare moments that you're like, yes, like Hollywood worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Like he didn't blow up or anything, and nothing happened, but it was exposure. It's for your real, it's for just the fact that you can look at other people and say, look, someone was willing to sink $1,000 into me and we got this. Imagine what we'll get if someone sinks 10,000 into us.
Yeah.
Imagine what will happen if, and all of that, that's just confidence. That's just key. And that's just, being confident and having a lot of faith in your product, and you guys are your product. So it's the easiest thing to do, having faith in yourself,
I think the goal for me is still to have a show where people who live in Phoenix want to be on the show, but also just as important, people who are coming through. Like this is the show. If you're coming to town, this is the show to stop by and say,
like bands and shit, or
comedians, actors, athletes.
Yeah.
Another thing me and McClay talk about gearing towards is getting more psychonauts on the show.
Yes.
Getting more.
Like people who are into psychedelics, like DMT.
Oh yeah.
Mushrooms.
Yeah.
Aliens.
Well, I don't know how you guys are do it on your end or have you, but we our plan on our side for this, that, and the other is to kind of break it up into more into segments, into seasons. So season 2, I'm gonna try and bring back the variety to it. So maybe this year for you guys, once you hit 100 or whatever, you kind of focus more on like monthly subjects. 1 month it's all psychedelics, the next month it's all women's rights, the third month it's no, I'm just you think about planning.
It's so hard to book. The booking of the guests is so random, and
it is,
you can only get them at certain times. It would be hard. That was one of the reasons why
we just did it with us. I'll be the first one to admit it. Just the idea of and God bless Sam. I love him. He's my rival. But he's also my business partner. But like Sam. He's very, when it comes to his time, it's very important to him what he's doing. So there has to, if he
I'm like that too. I'm very
So like if he so there's so when it comes to that, we're already a year in, so changing co-hosts wouldn't make sense to me at this point. But I remember we would talk about it at the beginning when we first started. I would be like, look, man, like we either have to do it, we have to do this a full hour. We have to do it just you and me, or I remember having to try and like, push him and to do that. And it wasn't that he didn't want to do it. It was like on the list of things that were important at the time for success and for moving forward, the podcast was at the very bottom. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having priorities as far as like things are concerned. And, I mean, that's actually a question for you guys. Like,
I don't expect Bryan to have this as number one priority at all. Like, I don't even expect.
Yeah, that's my question. How does that operate?
I just, as a matter of fact, all I care about is if he just fucking shows up and just fucking talks and we get to hang out. Honestly, like, I don't expect any more from him. So anything else that he does is extra, and he's done a fuckload as far as like, the merchandise, a lot of the equipment we've gotten and stuff like that. So, But we have a lot of work. I really do enjoy the shows with just me and McClay. We just have a lot of work to do. I feel like sometimes we run out of things to say because we do hang out and talk so much now that it's kind of, we feel weird talking about the same things again to each other, or like telling a story that we already have told each other in a sense. But I watch other podcasts, like I just watch, Rogan and Callan, or Rogan and Red Band just today. They're telling stories that they've told each other a million times, but as if they just, told them for the first time. And me and Bryan just got to get better at that. So, but like I said, these are just practice. So,
well, it's important that you guys are feeling comfortable in that position. If not every show's a banger for us on our side. There are some episodes where we walk away with like 55 minutes and we're kind of like, it wasn't our best, it wasn't the greatest, we kind of, but that, a lot of that has to do with not being prepared. If I could give you guys any advice when it comes to doing solo shows, is
that's a great point.
Yeah,
being prepared, especially if you guys are tandem for This, That, and the Other on Binge on This Network. I kind of carry that show. It was never originally designed that way. It's just the nature of the beast. I that's who I am as a person. And Sam is more, he describes himself as my Andy Kindler, or he's Conan's straight face guy. He's the guy on the right. Your guys' dynamic's a little bit different. You guys are very equal on both ends. McClay has subjects and he brings things to the table. Sam, for me, he's like my straight guy. Like he's like Laurel and Hardy. He's the straight guy, and I'm the fucking loud dude. And I sing and I rap and I do all of this stuff. And Sam's supposed to be like the solid normal one. So if that's not the style of your guys' show, then being prepared is key. Like at one point when we were like our first like 20 or 30 episodes, I would be like, Sam, like, please let me know what you want to talk about today. Let me know what tell me what you want to, and we couldn't get it together. So eventually it just had to be like me coming to the table and being like, all right, you follow my lead, big dog. So, power dynamic is really important. So if you guys want to keep it very equal, then I suggest talking ahead of time and just being like today's subject and like, oh, I have this that I'd like to talk about.
Yeah.
And,
I also thought like, instead of like, because I'll be waiting to think of something to say when I could be asking McClay a question about him. You know what I mean? Like interviewing him instead. Like,
and it's just like a friendly conversation. It keeps you on your toes about the things that you don't know about each other. I do my best to always try and push Sam for more information about himself, not only for me but for the audience, because it builds that connection for the audience. I always ask Sam about how he deals with the passing of his parents. I always ask Sam how he deals with his drug usage. I ask him these things
we need to get into that shit like that, like more deeper shit.
I always feel, and I think Keith's similar. As a matter of fact, I've heard him say it. I feel sometimes like people don't want to hear that, but
no, they do. They like the real shit. The dark, yeah.
Well, you guys, again, it's very interesting because you guys run on interviews. So your viewers traditionally come in to see you guys converse with with interviewees. When it comes to you guys together, that's like Keith said, that's when he needs to push you to interview you a little bit more. That's you want to, obviously you don't want to be as open of a book as you want to be, but
we definitely could be more prepared. Like, I'll be honest, like we'll just kind of wing it out of our ass because
I'm the last one to say anything about it. Believe me, man.
I live my life, dude, because you have way more experience of just doing it with you and Sam.
No, I just meant in general of just like of being prepared. Like the podcast and running the network has forced me to be prepared. Becoming an actor and being a comedian has forced me to be scheduled and to write things down and to use my calendar and
for sure.
Yeah, so like, and I gotta say, really, I can't do that stuff without Sam. As much as, as much as I'll say, and I say it to Sam all the time, like sometimes he just shows up and he does it, but when I say rival, I don't mean that in a bad way. There's positivity to having a rival.
He's somebody that pushes you.
Exactly. And so when you know, while I'm dealing with all of this, while I'm doing the interviews and I'm taking care of 3 shows and I'm doing all the other channels, you know, Sam's writing. He's becoming a professional screenwriter. He's making sure that we're prepared, that he's prepared for the next level, you know, and by doing that, we can work in tandem, you know, and it allows me to see what, you know, that level of professionalism, you know, requires. And on the other end, you know, this keeps running, you know, as well as it possibly can run. But you know, each dynamic is different. You know, our show's very open. You know, it's been open and it's very raw from the beginning. We don't pull any punches. You know, when I talk about stuff on the show, I do my best to be very open about it, and we're very honest. And you know, forever, you know, FC with What's Hood, he's the same way. He says what he says and he means it. And Perry Kurtz, you know, as funny as he is and as goofy as he is, what he says is well lived, and it's a well trodden path. And you know, he's not an idiot. You know, he knows what he's talking about. And so
I think I just to touch on that real quick, I think that's a very important thing to talk about. Is one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older is that the people that are older than me, there's a lot of information you can get from them that you can use, and it's amazing to get to that point to where you can go, all right, I just want this person to tell. I want to gain some knowledge. I want to gain something out of this conversation. And that happens a lot with people who are older than you. It
comes with maturity. It's something that, you know, as you get older and you become more mature, you know, you reach out and you seek for that type of advice. And it's so funny that first time that you hear you say something that your parents have said. You know, like when you say something and then you're like, oh my God, I'm turning into my mother. Like, or, oh my God, I'm turning into my father. You're echoing this information. You're echoing this knowledge that has, you know, almost been passed down through the generations. Like, you know, 100 years ago, like, you know, be good. Like just the simple act of your mom being like, make good choices. And you're like, shut up, bitch. Like, and then like, you know, like 10 years later, you're telling your kid the same thing. You're like, make good choices. And you're like, oh shit. Like mom was right. Like mom was right. Like, and then you go far back enough and it's just, yeah, you know, it growing up is so crazy. It's one of those things that it's just really crazy, you know, and it just, that growing up to me is more symbolic with the look in your eye that you were talking about, McClay, at the beginning, when you say, oh, I have to do this. What can I do? I have to keep going on. That's what growing up, that's that look in the eye for me. It's a dangerous look because it's a path that can lead to a circle. It can lead to a rut. It can lead to not getting things achieved. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it's like a good look. It's like a warrior look. It's the look that people have in their eyes when they know their back is against the wall and they're just like, well, we have to do what we have to do. And, you know, those words can be said by two people and mean two different things, you know, even though they're the exact same word. So,
yeah, it's funny you say that because one of the things I was listening to in a podcast, they were talking about, you know, our government and how just disenfranchised they were with our government. But lately the opposite has happened, that they've looked at what our government has kind of done in the last, you know, couple weeks and went, well, at least they're doing something.
At least they're doing something. An objective view of what's going on in your world, you know, via this virus is the only way you're going to gain anything.
What are you guys talking about? They ain't doing shit.
Yeah, they are. If they wouldn't, this is another thing from my brother. My brother was telling me, and again, I'm the worst person to be talking about this because I don't watch the news. I haven't watched the news or any of that in 10 years. And
I think this is the worst government handling of anything in the history of fucking ever.
Well, one of the things that they talked about is, yeah, President Trump looked like an idiot at first, but once he realized and somebody came to him and went, this is no joke, he put things in place in a fast enough time to where the amount of people that could be dead or dying right now is much smaller than, like, for example, in China. You look at what happened in China. They had, in order to flatten the curve, they had to fucking weld barriers on doors in apartment buildings over there to stop people from going out and partying.
McClay, have you seen any of the other stimulus packages that any other part of the world has gotten besides us? How do you feel about that $1,200 check living in LA? That ain't shit, is it?
but
I
it's
don't
something.
think the
That's not
Indian
what I'm
people
talking
are getting
about.
money
but it
though.
doesn't
That's
matter.
not what I'm talking about, though. What I'm talking about is getting it out there enough to where people are doing what they're doing. They aren't completely freaking out.
Yeah,
People,
but you're talking about something that's already existing, like as far as the two-party, like where our government's at now is so fucked up. Like that stimulus package that they put together and all the bullshit that they put in for themselves and they're pretty much we got fucked, dude. I don't understand how you're sticking up for the government on this. They didn't do anything for us.
I'm not talking anything about the stimulus package. I'm talking about.
Well, I am because that's how it affects me. How does any of that other shit? What does that other shit affect that you're talking about?
People not having as many sick people as we do. That's what I'm saying.
I feel what McClay.
I don't know.
Way more people sick.
He
than
found out way sooner and could have done shit 6 weeks sooner. So I don't know.
All right, here let me put it in some examples that we can all understand.
I don't like any of what the decisions that are being made.
Superman shows up, right? And General Zod's there. And General Zod's like, I'm about to blow this fucking city up. And Superman's, fuck you, my homie. And they get into this huge battle and they destroy the city, but Zod's dead. And then we're kind of like, all right, we did it. Like, we're alive. You know what I'm saying? There's the Keiths of it. We're like, yeah, sick. Or pardon me, that's not the Keiths of that's McClay's of it. McClay's like, McClay and me, we're like, hell yeah, Superman, you did it, dog. Like, all these other cats are dead, but you did it, bro. Because it could have been worse. Zod could have enslaved all of us and he could have shit on our chest.
Are you comparing Donald Trump to Superman right now?
I'm comparing you to Batman. I'm comparing you to Batman.
I don't even care about politics. I don't even I'm not one of those people that even hate Trump.
No, I know, but I'm saying McClay in this scenario is we're the citizens in the background going, yay, hooray, like Superman, you did it, you stopped.
I'm disappointed as McClay as a friend who would say something about the government.
You're misunderstanding me, is what it is. I don't think you're understanding. I think you're taking it as me talking about.
You just said that you were proud of the government for fucking stopping the virus from the amount of deaths that are going to happen.
I think it could have been a lot worse. It could have been.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
I think as bad as it was, as bad as the reaction was, as long as it took us, it could have been a billion trillion times worse. There could have been.
That's what I'm getting at.
He could have said that any time he would have done anything. He could have done things yesterday. He could have done anything a month ago.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
I don't care. I'm not saying if it's Trump or not. I'm just saying our government in general.
The government in general.
Yeah, they've got to work together to do something. And
that's what I was going to say. Take the Trump out of it. The man's a puppet.
I could give two shits about who they are.
Think about what it takes for the states and the federal government to work together in such a short amount of time. I'm not saying it's great. I'm not saying it's a great example because they should be operating like this at 100%. And it shouldn't take coronavirus for everybody to make the decisions that they should. But think about how quickly it took everybody to turn off state travel and to cooperate together with the federal governments and to push the proper things, albeit not the greatest bills in the world. Because Keith's right. They tied a whole bunch of shenanigans onto them bills, both Democrats and the Republicans that are just. If
you read that, it is complete fucking bullshit. It is. And we get $1,200 fucking dollars. Like we should be getting set up for the next 3 months.
For sure. I feel you 100%. But again, it's that look in our eyes that every one of us has at this very moment. It's that look of, well, what are you gonna do? Like, what are we gonna
I think the one thing this virus proves is that the government ain't there for you and they're never going to do shit for you and that you're on your own. That's what I think.
I think this virus proves more than anything else that the government is that the people lean on the government way more than they
for
claim.
Sure. Exactly.
I think the people who claim that the government is tyrannical and that they talk shit and they're like, he's not my president or the government or whatever, or this, blah, 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 blah. I think they're all clowns. I think
I'm not that person, by the way. I'm not like.
No, I know, but I'm just saying those types of people, those are the people who look at that talk mad shit. And they're the same people who type on their Facebook, well, what's the government going to do for me now? What's going to happen? What's going to happen to this? What's going to happen? You know what I mean? It's that straight street rule of like, well, they're the first ones to call the cops. It's the people who talk shit about the cops that are the first ones to call the cops. It's a very confusing time right now, politically and like for each person spiritually in a way, because I'm with you, Keith. I agree with you 100%. They could be helping us 10 trillion, billion times more, you know, but what do we do at this point in this juncture?
I
You know?
really didn't expect any of this. I
Well,
really.
you know what? I made sure I was set up before any of this even happened. You know what I'm saying? So it's like,
But you know, what are we gonna do? What are you gonna do? I say it with a smile, not out of sarcasm or wittiness. I say that in the most gentile possible way, the way I would tell a child, like if we were getting attacked, like I love you, but like what are we gonna do? I will do everything I can, everything within my power. I will be a good person. I will stay inside of the house. I will flatten the curve. You know, I won't rob. I won't steal. You know, I have every excuse in the world right now. You know, some people are thinking like this. They have every excuse in the world to be bad people, to not pay their rent, you know, and I mean, that's a whole other thing, you know, and I don't know how you guys feel about that. Like, I don't know. It's a whole thing right now. It's a whole thing. Like, who do you side with? Like, imagine being a landowner right now. Imagine like how, like
Landowners need to give their renters a break. They need to like what Dr. Drew was talking about with Bert. They need to like push that out across, you know, many years, you know, because if they don't give their people a break, then when it comes time that maybe we get out of this, those people are gone. You know what I mean? Like those people aren't going to stick around.
It's a matter of people playing the short game and playing the long game. You know, that's what's really important at this moment is just
being humanitarian.
Yeah, man. I think so. Yeah, I think it's a very, like I said, we walk a very fine line in this day and age. So, you know, I'm with you 100%, but I would rather give money to the man digging for plastic bottles without him asking for money than I would for the man begging for $1 in front of 7-Eleven. If I have $5 and I see a man digging plastic bottles out, I'll walk up to him and I'll be like, "Here, homie, like you didn't ask for it. You didn't ask for it, you know." But to me,
I'm not asking for anything from the government. I don't need anything from the government. I'm just disappointed that they're giving everyone this $1,200 check when the real winner is the government and the big business and not the citizen. You know what I'm saying?
It's not comforting. It's uncomfortable, especially for people who want to have kids and like, you know, want to live in this country for long periods of time. And like, you know, it's not ideal, you know, but again, it could be so much worse. It could be 10 times worse. We could be like China right now. Those numbers stop rising because they stop reporting on those deaths. Like they did not find a cure. This is not a miracle that happened in China. Them fools were like, they were like, stop.
Yeah, there was. I saw
Stop
video.
reporting, stop talking, stop telling the world what the fuck is going on. Like that's insane to me. That's scary.
I don't think the numbers here are right because there's not enough tests for people to even get tested. So what numbers are they even to believe, you know?
That comes right back to the mainstream media, and it comes back to everybody just doing what they need to do for profit. You know, there's two things in this world. You do it for profit or you do it for love. Some people do vice versa for the same thing. You get love so that you can get profit, or you do profit so you can get love. But most things for purely profit, you know what I mean? The love of subjecting thing. It's the people who own CNN and they own Fox, and it's the people who are playing 3D chess so that in 8 years from now, after Trump's been reelected, the next Republican candidate is being set up now, is being seated right now. He's the one who's leading the legislation in Iowa, or he's leading a legislation in Chicago to combat coronavirus for the poor. He's the dude whose name you barely remember right now that's going to show up in 4 years and run for election. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's all types of 3D chess and insanity that just, I wouldn't wish that upon my greatest enemy, you know, honestly. You know, heavy hangs the head with the crown, or however it goes. You know, that's a true statement, man. Like, you know, true real rulers, they got to make baller moves, you know, and so I wouldn't wish that on anyone. I wouldn't want to be president, you know. I don't even think Trump wants to be president. Like he likes it, but I don't think he would want to be president. Like, who knows though? What do we know, right? You know?
Yeah, he gets off on that shit, man. That's an ego thing with him.
He does get off.
Ego thing with all of them.
He's a madman, bro. He's a madman.
Yeah, they're all. Here's the problem with politicians: either they go in fucked, or when they get there, they either realize that they're fucked or they leave. Yeah. It's either like the first 2 years they're in there. I mean, like like, I hate to say it, but look at John McCain. Like, John McCain, he might have been a decent person, but you could tell after so many years of him fighting a losing battle, instead of him going, I'm fucking leaving politics, he went, deal me in. You know what I mean? Deal me in. Let me start taking some of that kickback, because if you can't beat them, join them. And you look at some decent politicians, like, there ain't many of them, one or two of them, but you look at people like Ron Paul, you look at these guys that they're just pushed out because they get to the point where you can't fight that fucking beast. And it's sad. But hey, maybe, I was talking with a good friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, who actually called during the last episode. So, but Dan Aragon, shout out to Dan Aragon. Dan, I was talking to him, and he's like, what I think this is going to do is force people to slow down. Like, this is God or whatever energy it is out there going, hey, you guys need to just slow down.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's in their phone, on the internet, and here we are doing this, but right now it's necessary. But maybe this is going to teach people to go, okay, listen, you have a world in front of you, slow down.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I agree with you 100%, man. 100%.
But
speaking of the world around us, dog, have you guys seen that Tiger King?
Fuck yeah. We were just talking about that on the previous podcast.
Hot damn. That Tiger
I think that was like the perfect documentary to come out in this time, just to kind of keep your mind off things.
Ferocious, bro. Absolutely bananas. It's so funny too, because it's a boring story if somebody were to just tell you the story. If somebody was just like, this dude, tried to set up the murder of a woman, and when you're like, whoa, like, that's boring,
even the trailer's not even that great, to be honest.
It's not even that great, right?
Yeah.
But then you
when you watch it, there's so many characters, like I was saying on the previous podcast, it's like a Danny McBride show, dude, but it's even better. You can't write that shit.
Phenomenal. I love it. Like you guys are saying, it came out at the perfect time.
So do you like Joe Exotic's music videos?
Hey man, that dude's a crooner, bro.
Guess what? Lip syncing.
I heard he hired somebody for that.
Yeah.
Yo, get this too.
Jordan's stepmom knows the guy that he's dead now. Doesn't. I swear to God, that's how we found out. We were like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's Joe singing. And then we looked up the guy. He died, but she was friends with him and shit.
Wow. Did you guys know that the crocodiles that burned down in the fire were Michael Jackson's crocodiles?
Wow. You know the dude from Myrtle Beach?
Doc?
He was on the Britney Spears when she had the bow.
He was the
VMA
thing.
Yeah.
Yo, Doc Antle's a madman. It really is. It's truly an interesting saga, and it's peak reality documentary, but it's so delicious.
It was done well.
And
it was also done by Tom Segura's cousin.
Was it really?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, man. I'm glad. I think it was just trashy enough for everybody to enjoy, yet it was still classic enough for everybody to go, hey, that was a good time.
Honestly, the real loser to me in it is I actually feel really bad for those animals living in that situation, man. Like him taking tiger cubs to malls and having people pet them, seeing those big, huge fucking chimps, dude, in those cages, man. You could just, and it's fucking ironic because now he's in a cage and he's like, no one should ever be, live like this. And you could see the souls moving all these animals, man. And I don't know. I just don't like that shit, man.
Their souls die. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I obviously I feel a lot of sympathy for those animals. Do I believe that 22 years was excessive? For Joe, I think 22 years was maybe a little excessive. I think he was an idiot that got set up. I think he treated those animals better than that bitch Carol Baskins does. She
only fed her husband to the tigers.
She fed that she won. Yeah, she fed her husband to the tigers. She was
That's the other thing, McClay, is dude, you got to see this Joe Exotic guy. He has like his own web channel, and he'd have a green screen, and he would just talk shit about Carol Baskins for like
For
that
hours.
motherfucker Carol Baskins, blah, blah, blah. And they would just talk shit. He would even like take a gun and shoot like a dummy and stuff.
It was
and saying how he wanted to kill her and
He
stuff.
was crazy. He was a man obsessed. He was a man obsessed. It was really great.
But dude, so this fucking bitch, dude, she was married to this guy who had millions, right?
Yeah.
Guess what happened to him?
He disappeared.
Right? And they interview the family, and they're like, yeah, she definitely fed him to the tigers and shit. And they didn't give us any of the money in the will and shit. Like, she fucked the family over on the will. And you're like, what the fuck? And then she married this other fucking weird motherfucking guy.
Yeah.
And they dress up like cats, and he's fucking like on a leash. And bro, it's fucking crazy, bro.
It's
Pussy
wild.
is a powerful drug.
What?
It is wild.
Pussy is a powerful drug.
Yeah, that's a double-sided joke right there because it's tiger.
Yeah.
I like that. You're smart, man.
Just really quick, my favorite part is when that trooper fucking got her arm or hand fucking chopped off, and then right after he changed clothes into the security and ran inside and told everyone in the gift shop.
Yeah,
that was so fucking funny.
It was like, I'm here to tell you guys before you hear it from the news. One of the staff members got their arms bitten off. If you want your money back or if you want a refund or something, and everybody just like looked at him and they were like, "What the fuck is going on?" Like, yeah, it was metal.
If you pause it on that part of their look of everyone in the gift shop, it is so fucking funny. It's
so great. It's a great journey, man.
And I didn't notice this, but someone pointed out like from when he was helping that lesbian chick, fucking her hand. He had one of those flamboyant fucking, jackets on.
Oh, yeah.
So he switched to a security jacket.
Yeah, those are his custom jackets. He has custom medic jackets. He had a custom medic jacket and he had a custom security jacket. What a fucking clown, bro. What an absolute clown. Yeah, it was a wonderful show. If you get the chance, you go out there and check it out. I'm sure by the time this comes out, everybody will.
That's got to be the number one doc out right now.
Well, I mean, they're already trying to find, a live action cast.
Danny McBride. It's got to be Danny McBride.
The movie. You think so? I think
dude.
A great job.
I thought Danny McBride the whole time.
I thought David Spade, man. I really like David Spade as Joe Dirt. But he's already done the Joe Dirt bit. I like that. Either way, however they do it, I'm sure they can't do it wrong. You know what I mean?
Well, one thing about this quarantine that isn't terrible is we found out a way to do this, and we definitely got to have you on more often, and this way we'll make it possible. So we thank you for coming on, brother. And where can everybody find you?
So you guys can find us primarily on Instagram at bingeonthisnetwork. On Instagram, you can find me at The Real. That's REEL_Hawaiian Bryan on Instagram. If you guys want to check us out there, and we're also on YouTube. Binge on This on YouTube. So we have all of our episodes up there. We have This, That, and the Other, which is Sam and myself talking about living in Los Angeles. We have What's Hood with FC, which is, a really in-depth and honest look at the Latinx community and culture. And then we have Happy News with Perry Kurtz, which is my secret guilt, which is Perry Kurtz, renowned comedian. He talks with people, gives grandpa advice, answers questions. It's a really, really good show. But you can check us out there. And thank you guys so much, man. I can't thank you guys enough for taking the time to check us to have me on the show, and sorry for the internet connection there a little bit.
Good, man, don't even trip.
But yeah, there you go. You guys can check us out there, and I mean honestly, guys, you were a huge inspiration to me, and I really hope I can hop back on the show again. And,
yeah, man. Anytime,
congratulations on getting picked up for those episodes, man. You've been putting a lot of work into that, so it's really
thanks for coming on, man. We really appreciate the time.
For sure, guys. Yeah, hey, thank you guys so much to you bogheads. Is that what you call them?
No, I've never even thought about it.
All right, you Bogstonians, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you guys
you want to do some really quick
out.
shout outs, McClay?
Yeah, again, make you guys, if you guys want to join the Clutch Collectibles Discord server to be part of buy, sell, and trades for comics, trading cards, action figures, sneakers, all kinds of collectible stuff. There's giveaways, there's raffles, there's group breaks, there's a lot of fun stuff. Hit me up on IG, and we'll try and get you vetted into the Discord server. Other than that, make sure you guys check out obviously This, That, and the Other, and make sure you guys check out Tales from the Flip Side every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Other than that, that's it.
That's it.
All right, that's a wrap.
Thanks,
Episode 75 of the
guys.
Bogcast.
Love you guys. Woohoo!
Bang.